All right, as you learn more about sandwiches, there's one thing that the Lingdocs site does not say super clearly on this sandwiches page. I'm sure in the future this will be added, but it's not there right now. So you may see, as you're looking through these sandwiches, that some of the words are inflected. Like, for example, you don't say z ta wugora, you say ma ta wugora. So that's inflected. Another one. Okay, you don't say le z sera, you say le ma sera. So that's inflected. This is a little bit trickier one, but you don't say the hage de para, you say the hage de para. So that's inflected. So you start to see that there's words in these sandwiches that are inflected. And if you remember, we have talked a little bit about this as well when we studied inflection, that one of the reasons a word is inflected is it's in a sandwich. Okay, so that's the main thing I want to point out is in sandwiches, words will be inflected. So let's look at some examples real quick here. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so take this sentence, the sarayim. Okay, the sarayim. This is a plain word. Okay, there's no sandwich, so it's not inflected, it's plain. And so how many men are there? There's one man. Okay, mung sariyu. Okay, there's no sandwich, just we are men. That's all that's saying. And we see the one inflection. And again, let me go to sarai in our Lingdocs dictionary. Oops. Sarai. And then you can see, so plain was sarai, and then sari, the first inflection, but there's no sandwich or anything, so we know that this is plural then. This is talking about two men. Okay, here's where things get really fun. If I say, z la sari sera yum, notice I got a sandwich here, la sari sera. This is a sandwich. You can see it here in the examples of the sandwiches, right here, okay. It means with, so I am with, but what I want to point out is although this is the exact same form as our plural in the sentence before, it's only talking about one man, okay? It's only talking about one man. The reason it is inflected is not because it's plural, it's because it's in a sandwich. So that can be really tricky to wrap our minds around at first, okay? So if it's in a sandwich and we see, oh, we want to say, oh, that's the plural form. But it's not plural. It's the first inflection form, but it's inflected because it's in that sandwich. Okay? So you might say, well, what if I want to say I'm with more than one man? What do I say then, if this is only one man? So then we have zala sariu sara yum. So again, we have our sandwich. I am with the men. So you'll see in your Lingdocs dictionary, we have the plain sarai, first sari, and then the second inflection is sario. So the maker of Lingdocs talks about this, like, imagine you're pushing down a button. So without pushing the button, it's sarai. Then you push the button down a little bit, it's sari. And then you push the button down all the way, it's sario. Okay, so this is how you would say, I am with the men. So notice, if you have a sandwich, you need to say la sario sera, or you need to say sario. And if you're not using a sandwich, it's just sari. Then that is the plural. Okay. All right, so go ahead and pause the video for a second and go ahead and try to fill in the blank. So look here over on the right and see how many women that we want to talk about, and then try to fill in the blanks, or just write on a piece of paper the words that you think should go in each blank. Okay, I'm going to trust that you've done that. And if you still haven't, pause the video, look in your Lingdocs dictionary for the word chaza. Click on it and use this to help you. Sorry, I should have said that before. So if you haven't done it, go ahead and do it. All right, I'm going to trust that you've done it. So now let's do this together. So z, yum. So there's no sandwich, one woman. So we just use the plain form, which is chaza. Z, chaza, yum. I am a woman. Okay. All right, that was simple enough. Whoops. Next, we have mung, you, and there's two women. Okay, notice there's no sandwich. So we check our Lingdocs. First inflection is chaze. And so we use chaze because we use the first inflection if there's no sandwich for the plural. And so we use kheze, munkhzeyu. We are women. Okay, so now we have zilla sereyam. So we have a sandwich here, la. And so we want to talk about one woman, but even though we're only talking about one woman, we have to inflect or push the button down for that sandwich. So then we have kheze. Zilla kheze sereyam. And even though it's the exact same form as when we were talking about more than one woman, because it's in a sandwich, we're just talking about one woman. Oops. Okay, and then lastly, zilla sereyam, and I want to talk about more than one woman. So I'm going to push it down once because it's in the sandwich. Then I push it down again because it's in because it's plural. So then I'm going to use khazu, zilla khazu sereyam. Okay. All right. So hopefully that makes it. So this pattern will work with all of these sandwiches. With all the sandwiches except, there's one main exception, which fortunately is a very common one, pake. When you're using pake, so this is in. This is the sandwich for in. Okay, so I live in Houston, for example. With pake, you are not actually going to inflect. At least in most cases. There's some complex times in the future we'll talk about later where you will inflect. But in 95% of the times when you use it, you're not going to inflect. So actually, most of the time this doesn't really make a difference because if you remember, there's lots of words if they end in a consonant. For example, like the word utak. Let's see. Okay. So if you see the word utak, it actually doesn't inflect. Now, this is a little bit tricky. With the dictionary, you'll see we have the plural form of the word, utakuna, but that's not the same thing as the first inflection. That's why he's written plural here and not first inflection. Now, there is a second inflection. In other words, if you want to talk about, let's see, what would be a real sentence you would say with that? I was with the rooms. Let's just use that. But zilla utakunu sereyam. I am with the rooms. Okay. So you will do the second inflection, but even so let's say with sera, if you're just talking about one room, you'll just say zilla utak sereyam. Okay, so it doesn't actually there's no first inflection. Okay, so and that's a common pattern with words that masculine nouns that ends in a consonant, or you could just think nouns that ends in a consonant. Okay, to simplify. So there is no first inflection. So if you're talking about just one thing and you're putting it in a sandwich, it's not going to change at all. So, for example, ze utakyam, I am a room, and ze le utak sereyam, I am with a room. They're both the exact same. You use utak for the exact same. Okay. So you'll notice words like, if I want to say, and then I'll get to my example. If I want to say ze Houston kiyam, Houston kiyam. Notice, anyways, this is Houston, so I wouldn't inflect this anyways because it ends in a consonant. And a lot of names, Afghanistan, it just so happens that a lot of words end in this. Okay, all right. But one exception is for, so let's say zipa kotakiam. Let's use this. Kota is another word for room. Okay, you can see here, kota. Okay. And you can see normally it would follow the regular feminine inflection patterns, kota, kote, koto. But with the pake within, we are not going to inflect it. So instead of saying zipa kotekiyam, which if you follow the rules I just taught you, you should do, with pake for some reason we don't do that. It's just zipa kotakiyam, okay? But with all the other ones that you see here, we are going to inflect them. Okay, let me know if you have any questions about that, and I look forward to seeing your examples.